Hey, this is Doc Yates. I'm a naturopathic doctor, registered acupuncturist, and a kinesiologist, owner of the Yates Naturopathic Clinic, and the founder of the interactive health website, Able Health. And this is the Simply Health Podcast, a show for females where I work to simplify and demystify the secrets of achieving optimal health naturally, based on my own experience in working with thousands of female patients over the past 15 years of my clinical practice. Welcome to Simply Health. Hey, this is Doc Yates, and welcome to the Simply Health Podcast, brought to you by Able Health. And again, this podcast is for all of our enablers out there, the people. I'm working with perimenopausal females and menopausal females. And again, the goal of this podcast is not just so that you become able to do the things that you want and improve your health, but you can also take this information and enable others to do that. So today we're going to tie in to something called gout. So gout is an inflammatory condition typically related to too much uric acid in the body, and often deposits in joints like around the big toe. And this does definitely increase. It becomes more common when you are in perimenopause and menopause, but even more common generally in your male partner around these same years. So if this podcast doesn't help you, then hopefully it can help someone else that you know. Traditionally, in general medical sense, there's two treatments that they use for gout. There is colchicine and allopurinol. Now, the problem is with these medications is the side effects. The side effects are huge, especially colchicine. Colchicine literally can lead to bleeding from your intestines, bleeding into your urine, skin rashes, blisters, muscle weakness, nerve issues. So long-term use of colchicine is not ideal, and then the higher dosing of colchicine during a gout flare-up is even worse. And here's the interesting thing about this. Colchicine is all natural. Colchicine is derived from a plant. So it just goes to show, just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good for you. It's all about finding the right supplements, the right plants that can have the best effect with the least side effects. And I really believe that these two medications are not that. Allopurinol has a lot of issues, and interesting, some of the main symptoms of allopurinol are the same symptoms of gout. So if it doesn't work, it's going to make things even worse. So how do we treat gout? I've treated a lot of cases of gout, and I would actually say at this point, every case of gout that I have ever treated has been a successful treatment. There was one case in which the treatment took a lot longer than expected, and it's because this individual was basically under an enormous amount of stress. And as soon as that stress cleared up, then we were able to clear up the symptoms of gout. But otherwise, every case is always cleared up. And I'm going to tell you how we do that. Number one, check with a test. So, if you've already been diagnosed with gout and you know what a gout flare-up feels like, probably the testing's not as important, but it's a very simple test. It's just a blood test to check what your uric acid levels are. The second most important thing is diet. Now, everything you're going to see online is going to tell you when you're dealing with gout, you want a low purine diet. The thing is, it's not like people eat a lot of high purine foods anymore. They're not really staples, at least here in North America. So, there's not tons of people who are gobbling down kidneys and livers and, sardines by the tons. And hence, I don't necessarily find that that's one of the major issues. But what I have found is high levels of sugar and high fructose corn syrup. So people that drink a lot of pop, eat a lot of sugar, and generally speaking, drink a lot of beer. Those are the things that I have found definitely flare up gout. So those are the things you'd want to cut out. If you are eating tons of kidney and liver, probably pull that back. But the vast majority of the times, that's not the case. Number three, the supplements. The supplements I've always used are these liquid herbal extracts, and these are called tinctures. So when you take it, it's almost, imagine making a tea, but instead of soaking it in water for, a couple minutes, you're soaking it in this alcohol extract mixture, and you're not soaking for a couple minutes, you're soaking it for a couple weeks. Then it's put through a press, and then that's extracting a much stronger mixture of these herbal extracts. So the ones that I always use for this, there's an herb called Uncaria, known as cat's claw, uva ursi, and nettle. Don't forget about the nettle. You're going to hear that one again. In doing this, if someone's doing a flare-up, we're usually dosing it higher, like a teaspoon up to 5 times per day. And if we're just doing prevention, you can cut it down to usually just a teaspoon once or twice per day. It's a really good idea to, in addition to this, to actually add some teas to it as well. So again, point number 4 would be the tea. Here comes the nettle again. When someone's dealing with gout, unless they have an allergy to nettle, which is very rare. Now keep in mind, everybody is sensitive to nettle if you touch it and it's fresh, like it's growing. Stinging nettle causes skin irritations, but once it's dried and put into a tea form, you don't get any of those side effects or issues. So nettle and schisandra berries as a tea while you're drinking that throughout the day while you're taking this other herbal extract we just previously mentioned. The 5th point is exercise. Now, exercise plays a lot more of a role in prevention than it does in treatment, because once someone's actually in a gout flare-up, it hurts so bad that they're not going to be able to exercise. So the main thing from the exercise, though, and we've talked about this in lots of previous episodes, is the sweating. We want to do anything we can do to improve heat and increase sweating. So if you're in a flare-up and you have access to like a hot tub, a hot bath, a hot bath with Epsom salts and baking soda would be even better than a hot tub in my opinion, because you're not sitting there just full of chemicals. Or saunas would be great. Anything you can do along those lines to help your body increase its sweating and detoxification. And then once you're out of the flare-up, doing more exercise, but still keeping it lower impact. Like you could be doing, for instance, like hot yoga or like type of cardio, like on a bike, something where it's not putting a ton of strain onto that big toe would be helpful. So when you're doing this, generally within the week, everything feels better. So that has been extremely consistent. Like I said, except in that one case where there was just a lot of stress going on, and after that stress was resolved, which took about 3 to 4 weeks, then all the symptoms went away. So what does this mean for you long term? I think of gout kind of like I think about diabetes, and what I mean by that is this. So diabetes, you can cure diabetes in the fact that once someone's blood sugar is below a certain point, technically they're not diabetic. However, they will always be sensitive to carbohydrates and high sugar diets. Same concept with gout. You can cure a gout flare-up and you can lower their uric acid levels, but they will always be more prone to getting higher levels of uric acid in gout flare-ups than the average population. So what that means is that while you can cure it, you have to be doing something along the lines to prevent it. Like you can't fix someone with diabetes and then say, perfect, now we're going to put you on a diet of just soda and say that it's cured forever. It doesn't work that way. Just like with gout, you can't cure a case of gout and then tell them, oh, go back to just drinking beer and pop all day, and it's not going to work. So long term for gout, keep the diet under wraps. So the low sugar, pulling out the high fructose corn syrup, pulling out the high sugar. If you are eating tons of purines, pull those back a little bit. You don't need to do all the tinctures and supplements along those lines, but I do suggest the tea. So if you could just even have 1 to 2 cups per tea, or have like a little thermos where you make some schisandra and nettle tea and do that like 3-4 times per week, that will be enough to help your body continuously flush out uric acid and prevent these flares. Because the other option of the long-term dosing of allopurinol or colchicine, the side effects are terrible. And colchicine actually arrests cell development. Like your actual body's repair system and how cells divide and repair, colchicine interrupts that. Like this is a major issue and a major problem for that medication, which is why it should only be used in short doses, smaller doses in acute cases, and not something that you're taking long term. So I hope this shed a little bit of information on how you can say goodbye to gout if it is bothering you, or if it's bothering a loved one. Please share this podcast with them, because it's so straightforward to work with. So this is Doc Yates, and I am signing off. Thanks for tuning in to Simply Health. If you want to learn more about health, check out Able Health.
If you want to see some of the other projects that I've been working on in health, business, music, and life, please check out the links below.